Welcome to Film Study, an all American podcast with Lexi. I'm Lexi, and here is the third part of our series on Layla and Olivia and their friendship, best friendship, non-friendship, whatever y'all, whatever you'd like to call it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to rate the podcast. All of those good things. Hope that you enjoy this discussion, and I'm excited to hear your thoughts. Season two. Um, Liv checks on Layla at the beach, the little beach bash thing after the championship winter break is over. Um, I just wanted to because again I wanted to address some things. They have really cute moments, and I don't think people realize they have cute moments. Football Barbie on crack with her playing football with Jordan was really funny. You were just like, oh, first you trash your house and now you're all football Barbie on crack, and she's like, but
Yes.
this conversation about Liv checking in on Layla, and she's just like, how many times have you asked me about my dad? And she's like, 100, and she says, yep, closer, yeah. So obviously Liv was checking in on Layla a lot because she's awesome, because she's my girl, because she's the one. So they have this whole conversation about their fathers, and again they're talking about like Billy and JP, and Liv is just like, oh, we're playing musical fathers. And Layla adds, I think I was surprised at this, but Layla's just like, oh yeah, don't forget about Spencer's dad. And then that's what we get uh, for the little Olivia fan in me. Yeah, I can't believe he asked him to play for. I can't believe he asked Spencer to play for Crenshaw. Telling Layla about her man at the time. And that has double meaning because it was telling Layla about her man, because Spencer has always been Liv's man.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So they're having that conversation, and that sort of goes. But obviously, like I said, Liv checking in on Layla. Obviously, Spencer comes to her about the whole hotel thing. They find her secret hotel room. Um, they plan an intervention with Laura, my other favorite character. My top three, Laura Baker. I love you.
She is. She's the best. She's the best.
Yeah, she's Wonder Woman. She's Wonder Woman. So they have this whole intervention uh, for Layla about her depression after Spencer notices some cuts on her arms and everything like that. Um, Here's the thing. Here's where I give Layla her, and I feel like I have been like giving Layla her notches, but here's another notch on Layla. I did not realize she called her Princess Rehab this early.
Oh, that comment. That comment
That
about
comment,
Princess
it'll never
Leia.
leave us now.
Oh, I want. Oh, I wanted. I wanted Layla edges. I wanted to fight.
I wanted to slap her.
Wait, you did not. You did not.
She calls her
Yes, she
Princess.
did. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Oh, that hurt it. That hurt it.
It did, as she's putting together this intervention, and later, right, as she's trying to get back at them, right. Um, it's really like they care for her, and specifically Liv, because again we're focusing on them, but like Liv cares for her a ton. Also, Spencer cares for her as well. But she organizes a birthday party to get back at them for this intervention. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing that I want to know, because again, the birthday party is something that is one of the major moments where people are like, yes, they are not friends. Look at the birthday party.
Yeah, but she was hurt. Layla was just hurt, and
Not
she
only
doesn't
her,
handle it.
she was in the midst of a major like just like I said for Liv, like we're covering all of this in the fact that she is still trying to find her footing, and she's a recovering addict, and she's focusing on her sobriety, and she's focusing on finding her footing socially. right?
Yeah. Mhm.
In this, literally, on the like vice versa, or not, that's not what the word I'm looking for. Literally, at the same time, yes, that is the phrase I'm looking for. At the same time, Layla is still reeling from her mom's death with a dad that's not around. Um, and she has major depression. Like, this is not, mild depression. Like, she, and trigger warning, right, was cutting her arms, like, had a whole entire hotel room that nobody knew about. Like, it was very
And
dirty.
that's why I have to keep reminding myself because I still angry. Like the fact that for one, the Prince Rehab comment, and the fact that she threw her a party knowing that Liv was a recovering, and then she offered her a drink too. Um,
No, oh, and this is where
then-
I want to know is that, like, even in the midst of all of that, here's where, and this is why I never, or I personally have never put much stock into the birthday party situation, is because in the midst of all of that, I think it would have been worse if she did offer her a drink. Like, she literally gave her water.
I thought in the kitchen she offered her a drink.
No, she didn't offer her a drink. She never offered her a drink. She gave her water. Uh, and and I want to skip to this, to your point, Carmen, because she's just like, this is the bad thing that she says. It really quotes this. It's very quotable, right? Too bad Spencer hasn't shown up. He's single now, so hide and go get it would be
Woo!
your move. But if he's, this is what she does say, if he saw you along with all of this booze, he might try and send you back to rehab.
Woo! That's how
Liz,
you literally had to lost her mind.
she did, she did, and she was drunk, right? She was like stumbling around the entire time. Um,
Yes.
but Liz's response is like my whole response to this whole ridiculous birthday party situation. She was like, "This party is what, payback?" aka for the intervention, right? What are you gonna do? Poison my seltzer or dance me to death? Like, literally, what is a party gonna
But
do?
that's because at the time Liv didn't know that she had done some stuff to Laura. She didn't know that the whole party was nothing. It was about getting them in trouble with Laura.
Even, even if she did, even if she did know that, which she found out later in the show, and again, this is why I personally don't put stock into the birthday party, is because, like, that is such an easy explanation to Laura. Is Laura really gonna be like, I don't believe you that Layla tried to do this as payback after after acting the way that she did, after there was an intervention, and after we all witnessed her manipulate her dad? Like, do we really think that Laura is dumb enough not to see what was going
But
on,
that's
even if she didn't trust it at first?
but that's after. That's after learning that she sent the stuff to Laura. But I'm saying her intentions of throwing a party was just that was to,
Get them in
get
trouble. That's what I'm saying.
yes.
And what did that really gonna do? Like, it wasn't well thought out. It was a horrible, horrible gotcha. Like, it was the
Oh
worst
yeah, it was definitely
gotcha
horrible.
ever.
Okay, yeah.
It was in like horrible in the horrible in the sense that, like, it was just not a very well thought out plan. Like, what are you gonna do? Poison myself or dance me to death? Like, what are you really doing here? Like, it just wasn't like. And this is for, again, for me. I was just like, the birthday party was whatever, because it was just such a half-hearted attempt at doing something, and you could just see that this person was just like struggling and doing whatever they could do to get like attention.
Mhm.
Like, that is what I the birthday party was a cry for help to me, at least.
Oh, definitely. It was definitely a cry for help. She had several cry for help moments before this point.
Yeah, several cry for helps. So yeah, so that was right. Like, that was it was the Princess Rehab
Ugh,
name, and it
I'm
was just
telling you, that's
it's
gonna.
too bad Spencer hasn't shown up. He's single. Hide and go get it is the perfect thing. So those are all like things that, like, Layla was so rude. Yes, she was. She was
Oh
rude. She
yeah,
was,
because Layla can turn into the most rudest person when she's angry. Absolutely.
when she's angry and drunk. Like,
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm saying overall her character, even when she's not drunk, she can turn into a person that you would not want to be messed up with. But that's what she is. That's what she.
It's so. I mean, both. I feel like that's true for both of them. Like both of them
It is because
got
Lil
some tongues
mouth,
on them.
the stuff that comes out Lil
Both
mouth.
of them got some tongues on them. That's why they're best friends.
Yes. Well, I don't know about that part, but yes, they both have some tongues on them. Definitely.
So here's something, and I want to get your perspective on this. Kissing Asher. Again, everybody knows I've said it 3 times at this point about the birthday party and how I view it. Uh, Kissing Asher, when Layla goes to kiss Asher, I do not think that that was to get back at Liv. And I'll tell
That
you
was the
why.
best. It might be both. It might was both.
But I'll tell you why I don't think it was to get back at Liv, personally. And it could be both, to be fair. But here's why I think it was 99% about Spencer.
You're
She
right.
didn't do none of that. She didn't do none of that until she looked out the window and saw Spencer touching and walking away with what's her name? I was about to say Davina. No, it's
Rochelle. I think it's
yeah,
Rochelle.
Rochelle. Rochelle. She didn't do none of that until she saw her recent ex walking and leaving the party and not even coming in. And as we know, and here's
And
the
also,
thing,
I think also at the time, I don't think that there wasn't this the first episode we realized Asher. No, no, no. Wait.
we this is the first episode we realized that maybe Liv felt something for Asher.
Okay. Yeah. Unless she knew that and since that, then no, there's no way she could have intended that for
And
Liv.
that's what I'm saying. It was not to get back at Liv. And here's the other reason is because like this becomes a pattern for her, right? Like going back to Asher, it's a very small pattern, but we re
We
we
definitely will see it in the future.
in the
Yes.
future she's in a bad spot. She goes to someone who's not good for her.
Yep. And mainly just Asher, not somebody, just Asher.
And there you go. And there you go. So again, so I'm gonna take back that like it was to get back at both of them. It was to get back at Spencer, and it was because she was in a bad spot. Especially knowing the context that I know now of all of season 4. Um,
Yes.
so and Liv says this exact same thing because the first thing that comes out of her mouth is just like, "Oh, she was just using you to get back at Spencer," and then she's just like, "Oh, or me, or the both of us." I don't know. But what was the first thing that she says to get back at Spencer?
Yeah, that's why I said unless she knew just a sense. I don't think she did. There was no reason
How would
to
you
get at
know
Liv.
that? Yeah, she
Yeah.
had no reason to know about Liv and Asher or whatever. Um, at least in my mind. In my mind. So anyway, obviously we already mentioned that Layla texted Laura a picture of the party. Um, and here's we all know the scene that was made at the end of this party, right? Like Laura's just like trying to calm Layla down as JP's trying to bring her out, and she's just like, "I'm sorry, who asked you to get involved?"
Woo! See, this is
Go fix your own family. And this is what I'm saying. Like
when she
she
saw
did
that
it
to
because
Laura. When she said that to Laura, it was definitely no coming back. It was like, no. Are
and
you
I was
lost your
highlighting
mind?
this. Well, and that's the thing. I was highlighting this to make a reference to family for her, but I'm also going to highlight this to say that Layla was coming at everybody in this episode, not just Liv. Everybody got that vibe. Everybody got it.
Yeah, she had hit rock bottom. That's why she said from Am broken. She had that whole speech like you did. She
Literally,
had.
there it is. She's just like, you're supposed, right? Maybe go fix your own family. And then she stops and she's just like, you're supposed to be my real family. And you betrayed me. You want to bring my dad back so you can tell him I'm broken. Maybe I am. Guess who broke me?
Yes.
Ooh.
Oh, poor Layla. I don't condone any of the behavior she did, but it came from such a depressed place. And depression, you just see things differently. You don't really see, you know, sometimes as what they are. Like in this case, they was trying to help her. and she didn't see it as help.
Right.
She seen it as them turning their back on her.
Right. And I want to point out the differences between their, in quotation marks, fights and when they're both sort of in a healthier place and how they communicate, right? Like Homecoming season 1, they both had just gotten embarrassed publicly. Like this happened right after the other, like in front of the whole school. So it was like a very, very heightened emotional moment. The affair, Liv was so upset she was about to take a drink when she said, "Oh, why even try, right? If you count that as a fight."
Mm-hmm.
This birthday party, Layla is literally drunk and majorly depressed, broken, right? As she says. All of their fights come in these like heightened emotional places, and we're gonna revisit this when we get to season 3 in the future with Liv. Like they are not in a good space mentally
Yes.
to have these major blowups.
It- It's just, yeah, it points to the fact that when you're in a horrible mental space, that you just don't make the best decisions,
Period.
which both girls has proven. Both girls has proven.
Period. So then we get Layla in rehab. Liv visits her multiple times. We know it's more than two. We know it's more than two because this is the second time that she's come on campus, but it's like specifically after she's cleared for off campus visits. Um, they end up talking about Spencer. Obviously, his dad died before this all taken place. Um, and anyways, this whole episode is about like Liv trying to tell Layla about being with Asher because they just got together, and Layla's just like guesses it. She's just like, "Oh, you and Asher are dating. I would be blind not to see that one coming." So maybe it was. Maybe
Ugh,
she did see it. Maybe she did see it. But again, I still stand by what I said. She's like, "I was blind not to see that one coming. You two were good for each other." Here's
the
the thing.
lies, the lies. I started to think
Lies,
Layla was
lies. But
throwing shots.
also, people are just like, "How say this proves how bad of a friend she is." I'm like, okay, well, are we gonna quote her when she said, "Why are you doing all this for Asher?" Like we
Oh
okay.
gosh.
And also, what? And I want to ask you this question because I don't have an answer for it. What should Layla have said there instead of "You guys are good for each other"?
She should have said, "It's okay. Just I don't know. I have no idea what she should have
Period.
said.
Exactly. None
I
of us
I
know what we would
still
have said in
don't.
that situation.
I still didn't agree with the whole her dating Asher after what happened. And so I don't know if Layla was being sarcastic. I'm sorry.
You think Layla was? I don't think Layla was being sarcastic. I think she was being
I
genuine.
said
I just think
if
that
she was
she.
being sarcastic, it's like what else did you want her to do? Like obviously they had made this decision whether she was okay with it or not, right?
That's fair. Yeah. Well,
So
and I'm not even thinking about it from that perspective. I'm thinking about like the fact that she, again, trigger warning. She nearly made an attempt. Well, no, made an attempt on her own life not that long ago. Was very
mhm.
scared to leave rehab. Um, is should the focus of her thought process be Olivia and Asher right now?
No, absolutely not.
And
But
that's what I'm saying. Like, what is she supposed to say to that?
that's why I said for because I don't ever remember feeling like she was being sarcastic when she said that.
Okay, was she gonna be like, "Oh no, that's a horrible decision"? Why would she say that? What?
Yeah. Oh goodness, yes. It was easier. I think for us Liv fans, it was easier to just say, "Why would she say that?" versus "Why would Liv want him?" It's just,
Well,
I'm just saying. I think it was. I think it was easier for us to be like, "Layla, why would you say that?" versus Liv, "Why would you want him?" Like, yeah. Even though she did not want that man. Even though in my Alexi voice, she did not want that man.
she didn't. She did not want the man. She did not. Like, But she did not love that man. Just go rewatch. And when I tell y'all, this girl was just like, "Ugh, I guess I want to keep him as a friend, so whatever, we can date." Like that was her attitude towards that, in
He
my
won't
opinion.
give up. He won't give up. So
Really,
yeah,
she won't give up, and like I don't want to not talk to him or whatever. So I guess.
I'm so
Um,
done.
but that is interesting because again, we do see that Liv, right, was a little bit evasive about entering into like evasive about telling Layla that she was entering into a relationship with Asher. Just a little bit.
Yeah, Jordan told her though when Jordan told her just be honest with her. Didn't Jordan tell her that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so finally she did at the end. So that's that. And then I termed the section sort of both of them. Well, one is getting healthier, the other is like spiraling a little bit. Again, like they just for the first two seasons especially, um, they were sort of like on opposite trajectories.
Mhm.
Like Liv's getting healthier as Layla's getting unhealthy, and then it's like Layla's getting healthier as Liv is spiraling and going into her relapse. And again, I just think that's important context for their
Yeah.
best ship.
True.
Um. Anyway, so they talk about, but this is when they were sort of both in a good space before Liv's relapse, right? They talk about seeing the counselor, like Layla and Liv have this whole conversation because Liv is just like, "Oh, I went to see Mrs. So and So, the school counselor," and she's just like, "Oh yeah, she's the best." Um, and we have this really great moment where Layla's like supporting Liv's podcast, and she's just like, "Oh yeah, like I'm listening to the recent episodes. Like your podcast just keeps getting better and better." This is also something that I want to stop and pause at too, because we hadn't seen people really talk about Liv's podcast without her bringing it up in that very same
Yeah,
episode.
cause you remember they hadn't even been listening to it when she tried to quote something she said, and I was like,
Yeah,
huh? She was like, my podcast. I was like, okay, apparently nobody has listened to it yet.
right. And that includes Layla too, and then Spencer later
Yeah,
when
Layla
they were
Spencer.
talking
Somebody
for
it was three
the
people at the table, I think. Yeah.
yeah, and Asher, which it was like crazy that they were together. But then obviously Spencer is just like, "Oh yeah, I listened to your podcast." Later, he was on it. Um, but here we have Layla as well supporting Liv's podcast and being like, "It just keeps getting better and better." Um, and yeah. They're just talking about mutual things. Here's the here's some things that again, when we see them disclosing information that they're not necessarily disclosing to other people. Liv tells Layla that she hasn't been sleeping since the shooting.
Mhm.
It was like, I think it was before she told Spencer that because he caught her, right? But she actually like just volunteers this. Um, and they like have a conversation about that. I think it was like after the counselor conversation, etc., etc. And then here's the other thing: Liv is the first person that Layla tells. Like, I think it's the first person. She's just like, "Oh yeah, I think I want to be a producer." In this whole hallway conversation.
Yeah, I want to say I think she was the first, but I can't remember, so I'm not gonna quote it because I can't
Well,
remember.
I'm gonna declare that she was the first. She was the first because I don't think again I literally just did a Coop breakdown. I don't think Layla and Coop had a conversation about Layla being like, "Oh yeah, I want to be a producer," rather than just like, "Oh, I'm helping you with this track." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, as I said, these best friends, out of their mouth and mine, are telling each other these things that they're not really telling other people, or and they're really like they're the first to know. They're the first to know these things. Here's another important conversation. This is after Asher. Uh, this is after Asher asked Liv to keep his secret about steroids.
Mhm.
Ready for this, Carmen? Because this one shook me.
Mhm.
This one shook me a little bit, especially after season 4. And if you go listen to, I don't even remember what part. It was like probably part 7 or something, part 6, part 7. of our Spencer and Olivia's communication breakdown podcast when I mentioned that like this is the first time that Layla has said these sorts of things to Liv, and I was wrong. I was wrong. I get it wrong too. Um, Liv is talking to Layla about keeping secrets, if it's for a good reason. And Layla asks Liv, "Is everything okay?" And there you get. She literally is asking the question, audience, "Is everything okay?" So y'all can't use that anymore. Y'all can't use that like only Spencer is asked about if Olivia's okay. It's not true because Layla just did it verbatim and like just through her actions in season one. Um, but this is what she tells Liv. She's just like, you know what? You've got good instincts. You should trust your gut. Basically, she's just like, whatever's going on with you, like, I'm here for you. You should trust your gut. But like,
hmm
also, should I be worried?
And she's
And I
like,
think
no.
that's so important because, like, again, it's not just like it's everything okay and sort of leaving it at that. She follows up, even though she encourages her, it's just like you have good instincts, all this stuff. She bookends that conversation with, "Should I be worried though?" And then they got interrupted by Laura's election results. And I hate that they got
I
interrupted.
thought she told her no.
Did she tell
She
her
told
no?
her
No, I think
no.
they got interrupted.
No, I think Liv told her no.
She told her no?
I believe so.
Oh, well, she told her no, and then the conversation ended there because then
Yeah.
Laura's election results came in. So they didn't get to finish that conversation after the no.
Yeah. Because they were told, well, like, want to know if it was it about Liv? Is there something going on with you? And Liv was like, I believe she said no. And that's when they got interrupted.
Right, right. Checking in on her and making sure she's good and following up and going beyond the I'm fine, going beyond the fine, I'm fine, which incidentally is their next conversation because Layla's talking about Coop signing with JP potentially, but it's like an even deeper conversation about like what happens when the new normal of JP being around and present in her life and like having Coop's
hmm
work on is gone. And I'm like, these are deep conversations. Like, I mean, what's gonna happen when like I don't have these things to do or distract me anymore? And like they're having a really deep conversation that's
They
really open.
were.
They talk about deep things. Um and she's like, maybe it's better if I go back to pretending everything's fine. And then Liv is like, no, I won't let you do that. Again, like being there for each other. And then they get into obviously like the Asher drama. She's just like, wait, what's going on with you? And Liv is just like, I'm fine. Here we go. That's that. I'm fine again. And she tells Liv like, I'm the queen of the fake I'm fines.
Mm.
Liv goes into like Asher and the shooting, and you know they have that conversation. And again, like they cut that scene so we don't get to hear the end of that conversation. But they're having a deeper conversation about what's going on between like what's going on with the both of them. Uh,
And this is a little off topic, but all American writers, I love you guys, but I'm never gonna forgive you guys for skipping over the shooting of Lil part. Like, I
yeah,
think Layla was like, yeah, she definitely, just okay. Back on topic.
it is, but and this is what I'm saying is they had a whole conversation that we know that we didn't get to see, but they touched on it. They touched
hmm
on it. So Liv has talked to Layla about the shooting, and Layla talked to Liv about um, her feelings post leaving the mental health facility.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that, and then we get into season three. So anyway, their friendship is in a very very healthy place exiting season two.
Yes, it was. It started off very rocky beginning of season two, but it ended in a good place.
Right. And the thing is, it's just like it started off rocky because like Layla was hiding that she was depressed.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's reason why, but it was definitely, you got the
Oh, no,
whole
this is what
recap.
I'm saying is like it didn't even hit Rocky until they found that hotel room, and Layla was just like, okay, no, I'm deep in my depression now.
Yes.
Because they were having that whole football party on crack. Like, it was a fun moment. That hookup into new, like all of those quotable moments that we got from them at the top, and um, how many times have you checked in on me, etc., etc., etc. Oh, also, sorry, we did get Detective Liv. Detective Liv also came out of season 2 from Layla.
It did.
Anyway, I love it. I love it. I'm just trying to point out the little happy moments that they've had, and not even
We know she's gonna fight. She is going to stand up for her ship. Her
period.
yes.
They're best friends. Period. For me. For me. Anyway, shifting into season 3. Thanks for listening to Film Study and All American Podcast. Stay tuned for the next part where we cover season 3 of Layla and Liv.